the emergence of artificial intelligence has the potential to change the global business landscape as smart people and organizations embrace the adoption curve and learn how to work smarter, better, and faster. In this special episode of Media Dialogues with Storyboard18, we decode the effective use cases of AI-led tools across industries to uncover interesting insights and practical applications of this disruptive technology across areas like customer service, recommendations, predictive analytics, design and product innovation, personalized marketing, content creation, and a lot more. I'm glad to introduce our panel of experts who have real insights into the world of artificial intelligence. We have with us MVS Murthy, CMO of Federal Bank. We have with us Jagdish Ramaswamy, President and CDIO, Hindalco Industries. We have Leandro Perez, Salesforce APAC CMO. We have Samir Shetty on my left, Head of Digital Business and Transformation at Axis Bank, and Sumit Bhojani, Head of Marketing Communication at Godrej Interior. Hello and welcome to Media Dialogues with Storyboard18, gentlemen. It's lovely to have you here. And I'm going to just kick off the dialogue immediately with you, Leandro, to give us in perhaps 30 seconds your sort of intense take on artificial intelligence, whether it's in its sort of generative AI capacity or otherwise. Give us your 30-second take on its impact that you see across businesses today and some of the clients that you work with.
Thank you. Well, look, as a leading CRM provider, we feel like we're at the center of all of this, with customer service, sales, marketing, IT really being at the forefront of where these use cases are coming. So AI, of course, needs amazing data, clean data, so that's where you need to start. But we believe that AI today also needs trust and security built in. So I know we've been talking about that with my colleagues here. And then we've got customers all across industries, whether they are FinServe, retail, healthcare, they're all leaning in. And AI is not new, right? But some of these generative AI use cases, I'm very excited to talk about that today.
Absolutely. And I'm going to come to you, Samir, first, given, of course, that you are in a sector, BFSI, banking, where data, information in your customers, of course, is absolutely critical for everything that you do. That applies to, of course, everyone here on the panel. But help us understand how you are currently deploying AI-led tools when it comes to personalization.
So firstly, thank you for having me on the show. As you rightly mentioned, data has been at the center of banking for years, and banks have used data to do many things over time. For us, personalization is a big element of what we are trying to deliver to our customers. And this is an exercise that we've been on for about 2.5 years now. So as an example, today, our app is hyper-personalized, which means that depending on the consumer, they will see different messages as soon as they open the app. So as an example, I might see a message saying, I'm on the last 2 pages of my checkbook, and so if I would like to order a new checkbook. You may see a message saying, you know, you gotten a big credit, maybe you got your bonus, and so do you want to invest it into, let's say, an FD or a mutual fund. And a third person may see something else and a fourth something else, basis their context and what is relevant to them at that point in time. Similarly, our marketing messages, when we send out SMSs or other communications to customers, are hyper-personalized. So they are addressed to a consumer, and they are addressed to a consumer in the context of where they are at that point in time. And so personalization is a very core element of how we see marketing evolving further, and that's an area where we will continue to use AI.
I'm going to sort of dig a little bit deeper into the personalization piece right now, and I'll come to you, Murthy, first. Tell me, you know, what are some of the use cases that you are perhaps seeing, and I'd also then, of course, have to take that conversation, some of the implications of such a hyper-personalized experience using AI. So over to you, Murthy. Just give us your
one of the most
take.
exciting things which is happening right now is that marketing is sitting on top of the digital experience. It is sitting on top of the fintech innovation which is coming in. It is also sitting on top of high amount of infrastructure, which is also changing. The cloud is making a change. So all of these three put together. And for us at the bank, we are lucky because for me, I'm being powered by my fintech team, the digital infrastructure team, and also the experience creating team. Now, with all of these things, three things coming together, my ability to personalize has got multiple facets. One is that I can be relevant to you. I can be right there at the time when you want it. So for example, we have something called as a Kisan credit card. It allows a farmer in India to go out and get a loan in 5 minutes time. It's a product which is out there in the market. So the speed of delivery is also changing. That's the other level of personalization. The third part is if I can anticipate what you might need in your life stage that you're going to enter into. Maybe there is a baby in the house, or maybe you're coming back to your career. It just changes the way the customers see us. A lot of the personalization is about being discreet and relevant.
So give us your take on how you see personalization, but more importantly, as Murthy mentioned, the aspect of being discreet is critical. And we'll get into sort of privacy, data use, all of that. But quickly, if you can just give me your take.
Yeah, so thanks. So no doubt, any technology which is going to enhance customer experience going forward, either by doing personalized data or by making sure that the customer journey is correctly mapped, is going to be the way going in the future. And Godrej and Boyce, we make sure that we follow these technologies so that the enhanced capability that it offers helps us deliver the best customer experience. From the point of view of privacy that you mentioned, I think it's a very important point to keep in mind as a responsible organization. We have to be clear about how we are going to use this data. There's data privacy for the customers. There is company proprietary data that you want to make sure doesn't get out. Then there is content that's going out. Is it aligned to the way the brand wants it to be said? Is it aligned to the way the customer wants to be heard? Are there some hidden biases in the data? And the pure rich data that Leandro spoke about becomes very important there. Are there hidden biases in the data that's going to come out and without oversight reach the customer? I think that's one of the important consideration. And data, I think, is at the center of this, apart from the machine learning and the AI layer, because we need to be very clear about the provenance of this data. Where is this data coming from? How are we using it? How are we going to oversee the output? These considerations become very important as we move into a hyper-personalized world, which is inevitable. We are going to move into a hyper-personalized world. Brands and responsible organizations need to set enough guardrails to make sure that the communication that's going out is brand safe, aligned to guidelines, and the data privacy concerns have to be protected.
Jagdish, before I come to you, I'm just going to get Leandro's quick perspective on what you've heard three of your co-panelists say about AI and, of course, it being fed with all this data. So when it comes to, say, the issue of privacy, data risk, all of that everything that we're concerned about and everything that's challenging, what are you seeing what is happening out there right now in terms of setting those guardrails and trust? Trust is important.
Yes.
Whether it is B2B or B2C, you want to know, what's happening with your information and something as basic as, are you talking to AI or a human? What's your sense?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think we've covered a few different areas. So firstly, like generic, traditional machine learning AI use cases like mentioned before, where it's just the computer talking to the end user. And so there's no human involved there. So there's less risk of that data being exposed to someone, even within your own company, that shouldn't have that. I think as we move to some of the new use cases, like generative UI use cases, like mentioned here, I think what's important there is that that's not like old traditional databases approach, where once that data is in the model, it's in the model and it can be spat out at any moment in time. And that's where at Salesforce we've really taken a lot of note to ensure that we build a trust layer in, because that data, once it comes in, you don't want that shared with different companies. And even within your company, just because something is available to one person doesn't mean it's available to another. So I think that trust layer is super important, and bias is then another element, that just another buzzword you mentioned there, but it's very important because once that data has come in, the bias that has fed the machine is what's going to continue to produce. And so it's going to get reinforced by that. So I think so many good things. One, I'm just excited that people are using the technology, but we're having this conversation. But I think now it's really important to have the considerations that maybe we didn't have with other technologies like social media and before. Right. We're having that now.
And it's a good thing that we're having those conversations really early, really early in the game. Jagdish, I'm going to come to you now. And you are, of course, leading the transformation at Hindalco Industries. How you see AI disrupting how you engage with your customers, how you put in processes and systems in place that help you do your job better.
Today, the experience that they want is like a bank or a retail, it doesn't matter. So they don't think they are dealing with a Hindalco, which is in the commodity manufacturing, it doesn't matter. So from a customer experience standpoint, exact expectations that you have with any customer, right? The second part of the change that's happening in the market is customers want visibility. There were times when you would say, take the order and say you wait until the goods get delivered. Today, they would like to know every step of where is my order. Is it taken in? Is it in the factory? Where is it manufactured? And this is where the personalization actually comes into picture. I give my lot number. I need to know exactly what was the manufacturing process followed when I got my material. Those were not transparent. They were very opaque things. Today, complete visibility and transparency is expected. Second is the generation of leaders that we are dealing with today. The organization is the same, but the people who are running the organizations have changed. They are the digital natives, okay? And the same transformation is happening at the employees. So you have an employee base which is now more and more digitally savvy. We have the customers who are, the name is same, the address is same, but the people have changed and their expectations have changed. So it is not that we are manufacturing, hence we don't need to do anything on the customer side. We have to do a lot on the customer side to just provide this, just one case of visibility, right? And the moment you make that transparent to the customer, everything that happens within your factory becomes transparent. So our aim is now, how do you make your manufacturing processes safe, smart, and sustainable? So the confidence that customers will get, the moment you become more transparent to them, I think the trust that you establish is huge. Because they become an extended part of your factory, while they are not. Virtually, you are getting your suppliers and customers into extended value chain just through AI and data. That's the power of transformation.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to add something,
I just want
Leandro,
to jump in. Obviously, think about all that data being collected, and you mentioned the customer expectations. I think where AI can help, beyond the systems just talking to the customer, is augmenting your teams. Think about all those data points, showing that to a customer service rep or a sales rep so that in that moment, they know what to say next. Like, I think that's what really excites us at Salesforce.
Yeah, there was something very interesting I heard recently, and it was the global CM of MasterCard who said that maybe we should change it from artificial intelligence to augmented intelligence.
Love that.
And I absolutely think that a lot of the conversation that we're having right now is going in that direction.
So I'll tell you what, despite all the hype and the necessity of having AI, at the end of the day, we are all going to be human at the core and digital to the fore. It adds to look at our industry, banking. We are so much of a people first kind of an industry. And you also need to differentiate between the markets. For example, a small town like Mallorca may have about 5,000 people, but a pin code in Bombay could have about 5 lakh people. So the scale that we are operating at is very, very different. And when it comes to India, we have something called as a vernacular architecture. You need to have multiple languages, cultures, and stuff like that. So people still expect you to go out and be present there. However, the quality of the interaction can be far more superior when you augment it with intelligence. So for example, where you use the AI is also an important part. Do I want to use it in my call center? Do I want to use it in my digital marketing? Do I want to use it to enable my sales force? Is a very important part. And therefore, can I improve and heighten the delivery of a wealth management customer by use of AI? So I don't need to be the smartest guy who knows how the stock market is going to perform. But if I know what his personality is, and money is not really about the trades that you put as much as it is about the psyche of person you are, it enables my front-end official to go out and have a far superior customer experience. And that's where the whole thing gets heightened. And there you also cut the gender and the age barrier, because the customer sees an intelligent young 28-year-old come in and talking to him with all the possible information which has been given through a AI-led kind of a system. And that's really where the the meeting or the intersection happens. I just want to add, it's almost like being like in a matrix. You just come in, and suddenly everything that you want to sort of manage that situation is available to you. And that's really how slick it can be.
But the matrix can be challenging
it
as
can
well.
Be. It can always be. So in the midst of a Vulcan like Spock, and audio is going to beam me up, still Captain Kirk has to use his empathy and his intelligence on when does he want to invoke this logical, process-driven kind of a power. So that's a very important discretion again. To use.
What a spot-on analogy. Please go on.
Jump in. I think it's a very important point that I know that there's a fear cycle around this entire AI and Gen AI and whether it's going to take away jobs. I think over the years, we've seen that all technology disruptions, like the last big disruption we saw in the marketing world was when consumers started transitioning to digital journeys. And that was like early 2000s. And that itself had its own set of people saying that, how are traditional marketing going to even survive? Today, as we see it with smartphones coming, all technology has ended up augmenting humans to doing things differently, to doing things better.
Right.
And I think there's going to be a change in job structure, but it's going to be more reskilling, more upskilling, and a different set of jobs are going to emerge. Content creation is going to get democratized. Rather than, so that augmented intelligence is a great point.
Right.
I think it's exactly how it's going to play out in my view.
I love that in particular, sorry to jump in, but what I like about it is, it's funny, when you say digital got introduced, so much new work got created because of the digital journeys. Like, how do we personalize? Let's create 10 personalized headlines or emails. That's the work that I think AI can help, which helps unlock all the creativity again within an organization. So the companies will have people that want to do these roles.
Right.
And what you said as well, it's a great leveler. Like a prompt is human language, right? You don't need to know how to code or anything like that. So it's a very, very exciting time to level it, bring back the creativity and really make sure that companies can be productive again.
Can I give an example of
course.
just how the job is getting changed? I'll give you case of, today if you look at manufacturing anywhere, we have the quality inspectors who actually do inspect the job and declare whether it's fit for customer or not. That's gone because that has been taken over by the AI, right? So what does this guy do now? We actually saying, why can't he be the analyst and the data analyst? So I think it is going to really enrich the work that they are doing. While the quality control will get minimized or almost eliminated, I think it's going to enrich a lot of people's job if it is really applied. We apply our mind in the structure, organizational structure. All of us have to, as AI starts to identify, take the core of your operations, you have to start thinking about your future organization structure. Very important for us.
Samir, I'm going to come to you next. You've heard what everybody has said. You shared some really interesting examples and use cases of how you are deploying AI when it comes to your personalization solutions and offerings. There's also, you mentioned looking at your customers and what they are doing and predictive solutions. Talk a little bit more about that. What are some of the use cases that you have, and even in some other areas that you've heard about right now? Anything that you can share on that front?
Yeah, sure. So on the, generative AI is a new kind of, hype or reality depending on who you talk to. There are, right now it's very, very early. We are at a POC stage here, but there are 3 types of families of use cases that we are looking at. The first is the customer facing use cases. So as an example, can we create a personal financial assistant to every customer who can be, it's not generic advice, it is specific advice to that customer at that point in time, basis their history and their preferences, etc. This can be done now with generative AI, right? So it's like giving a wealth manager to every Indian type of a use case, right? So there are many use cases of this nature on the customer facing side that we are working on. These are on advisory, on underwriting, on collections, on fraud management, etc.
And so far, how has that sort of worked out? Are you drawing more insights from that and changing up the systems?
Look, it is very, very early. 2 things are very evident. Number one, that the speed of building a new use case has come down dramatically. So many use cases our teams have built in 3 days or 4 days. And these are real working prototypes. You can see that they are genuinely working.
Right.
Historically, it would have taken us 4, 5, 6 months to do something like this, right? So the speed of this coming live is gone up dramatically. The accuracy or the utility of the use cases has gone up. So I'll give you an example. We conduct an annual hackathon. We call it a bankathon. So basically over a weekend, 150 people come to our office. They just stay overnight, and at the end of it, they'll build a working prototype.
Right.
The prototype that won this year's bankathon basically built a chatbot leveraging ChatGPT. They just trained the ChatGPT on our public website. No customer specific data, just public data, but our public website, right? And then we already have a chatbot, and they demonstrated asking a few questions to both. And the one that they built in 24 hours was in some cases doing better than the one that was built over many years and so on and so forth.
Many years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, I mean, now this is POC and so on and so forth. The other thing can do many, many more things than what this can do. So I'm not claiming that success has been achieved, But the speed at which this is happening and the quality at which this is happening is coming down quite dramatically.
Leandro, you're hearing about how Axis Bank here has been using AI. Can you maybe share a few perhaps examples quickly for us from maybe a global understanding of what is happening, especially in Asia Pacific, because you have so many similarities in the markets here, right? So just what's happening?
Yeah, I'll share one global one. I think everyone knows Formula One.
Yes.
And we love it in Asia because they come to Melbourne, they come to Singapore, and obviously I was in the Melbourne one. It's an amazing race, right? But they, in fact, only have 23 races. And so now they had this amazing show on Netflix, Drive to Survive. They have over 500 million viewers and fans, but only 1% gets to go to a race. So they came to us with this challenge of how do they personalize the experience for the 99% that can't go.
We're not on track.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is where they really want to engage, and it's a younger demographic, right? This is not, your grandfather now. This is especially younger females in particular, and more globally dispersed. So they wanted to work out how can they find out what races are people interested in, what drivers, what teams they're following, and all the comms now are personalized to the, the specific driver that you're really interested in. And that has to be across digital, their F1 TV, all of this. And then, of course, they sell merchandise. And now this is where the augmented use cases you talk about come really interesting, because their chatbot is able to deflect so much of the random, I made a mistake on my order, or I need help changing my delivery address, or can you add this? The service agent gets that in, and the chatbot really already deflects a lot of it, but then it also assists, helping create those personalized journeys. So it recommends what's the next thing you should offer this person. This is where customer service becomes customer sales. And so the marketing, sales, service is all blending together to deliver this amazing customer experience. So I think that's what's really exciting. But of course, like I mentioned in the beginning, what we deliver for F1, we can't really pick up and deliver to the next company, which is why that trust layer is so important.
Murthy, I'm going to give you sort of the last word. You've heard everyone. Just tell us your closing thoughts.
Cases that I'm envisioning, because of the industry I come from, is this whole digital currency. Can you imagine that we can live in a world where it's not about anytime money, but just in time money, which means there is no currency notes, there are no coins. The entire thing is digital, and UPI has already given us that sort of telescopic thing. And from here, the project is already on. I mean, there is a whole thing happening with a cluster of banks. And that is the kind of world that we'll live in. Now, when you do something like this, you will have AI not only enhancing your customer experience, but also protecting the sovereign of your country. The money can be transferred into other parts of the world. And just imagine, and all of this right now in India, when we are poised to be the third largest and the most powerful economy. So I think we are living in absolutely exciting times. But I would still insist that the human should not take his eye off the ball and use technology as a leverage for efficiency.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll end the conversation on that note. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. It was lovely chatting with you. And of course, augmented intelligence, perhaps we should start looking at it that way. Thank you so much again. Thank you.
So much.